type shit. Like it's,
What's good? We were in mid conversation about Darren Waller talking about Tua being the most accurate, most cut up quarterback he's ever seen, and then getting to games, and it ain't the same,
Right. In practice, he was saying he was in practice. As soon as I walked on the field, Darren Waller said, "Never seen a guy cut up and be more anticipatory in practice in my life." And then when I got in the games, it was just a little bit slower and not quite. He didn't say he was bad, just said wasn't the same, and then compared it to your body's like subconscious reactions to trauma. And then, in practice, you got a red jersey on, not getting hit by the defense. It's your own defense. They want to clean your clock. Tua goes out there in the game, and he's just not as fast, not as sharp, not as accurate, and everything's a tad bit slower than it was in practice, and that's all the difference in the NFL. It was an interesting 3-minute clip I saw of Darren Waller talking.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like he's clearly talented. I mean, you're not a 5-star recruit. You don't have the career that he had pre-injury at Alabama. Like you see the flashes. It's just, and I think I've said this before. Like it's just the best quarterbacks in the world can just do it time over time over time over time, and the ones that aren't as good just can only do it some of the time, and that's kind of where Tua falls. Like you just don't know.
Yeah,
it's a mystery.
I feel like we were at some of the time, and now we've got like it was like more like a half the time, and now we've regressed to like a third of the time. You know what I mean?
1,000%.
And this worst part also coincided with Tua. I mean, with Tyreek Hill being hurt. So like we don't have a true. We don't have a big sample size of Tua coming back with a healthy Tyreek Hill coming back from like the most recent injury.
Yeah.
And those things compound, obviously. So I don't know. RIP Tua's quarterbacking, maybe. Hopefully it comes back, but maybe not.
Needs to go see somebody, get that. But new coach in Miami. We got some new coaches all around. We talked about it on the Patreon last night. I think we're going to put the episode out as for everybody for your pleasure. But I'm sure we'll get into some of that today. We've got a live Superflex tight end premium mock going on here. We are in the top of the third. We started off with Josh Allen, Drake May, Daniels, Chase, Lamar, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Burrow, Caleb at the 108, Hoodie, what up? Bijan, Puka, Trey McBride, and Gibbs. Second round is Jefferson, Neighbors, Lamb, St. Brown. So a nice little wide receiver run. And then we got Herbert, Genty, Bowers at 2.7. Nice. Hurts at 2.8, Achane at 2.9. 2.10 is Patty Mahomes, 2.11 Omarion Hampton, and 2.12 we got Drake London. And then at the top of the third, we have Bo Nix and Dart. So we are caught up there. And we did the Patreon last night, me and Chev. And we were just talking about the Dolphins. So I think that's a good place to start. Achane at 2.9. Sans Mike McDaniel, right? How confident are we? We had elevated him, or at least I had in my rankings. I had elevated him into the elite tier 1 because he's just been doing it, and it's been awesome, and he's clearly a stud. I feel like I got to at least let him graze in tier 2 right now, right? Because I think he'll still be good, but will we have the elite ceiling week in, week out without having some, say what you want about McDaniel, but we know the offense and then run game specifically, elite, right? And then right next to him is Omarion Hampton, which we can talk about on the counterpart of this, right?
Right.
So, Big Co, what's your thoughts here? Because me and Chev had kind of discussed this a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we did the video about the $500 FFPC league we started up with this year, and Achane was our, early third round pick, and thought that was a really, really good value, and did not disappoint this year. Came out and crushed. I wouldn't have had him beside, like, when I hear tier 1, to me that's just Gibbs and Bijan right now. I cannot even, as much as I want Genty to be in there, I can't have Genty in there right this second. And there's a lot of things that went on, and I can't have Achane in there. I could give Genty the benefit of the doubt and the old potential, the P word that'll get you fired. I can get him and Achane together. But I can't put, I got to have a gap between Bijan and Gibbs right now. Just as far as if, especially like Dynasty value, like
what about Achane though?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's tier 2. Yeah. But not tier 1. Even if you, I don't like, I think that I don't
to click the button on Achane now or not.
He obviously didn't get any, like his ability to be an awesome football player did not leave, but you're just like, he just had elite X's and O's leave the building. Elite X's and O's leave the building. And from a passing game standpoint too, we saw his progression there. I just, if you said, if I have Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs on my team in Dynasty and you sent me Devin Achane, I don't need to make me say yes right now, but there's a pretty big gap for me.
Mm-hmm.
And as for points per game wise, that's not even, when Achane's healthy, the quote unquote, when he's healthy, when he's out there, like there was an offensive situation there, 2 years ago, that was all the talk of the town this year in the offseason. Achane ran it. He was like Chris Johnson out there 2 years ago. And then last year he caught all the balls. And it's like, all right, well, can we just get that marriage and he'd be the RB1? That's what they were saying. That's what we were talking about. We got a little bit of the marriage, but it just kind of the whole offense came down. So when your ceiling of the offense comes down as a whole for the Miami Dolphins, then Achane had his moments. He had those 50-yard touchdowns. Those are brilliant, tons of catches. Fantastic player. Below Bijan and Gibbs.
What you thinking, Chev, on an Achane? And then, we can, if you want to then lead the conversation into like, obviously Amarian Hampton was high. People liked him, had some injuries, but now, what we're talking about losing in Miami, the cupboard is loaded in LA and you just got, an elite X's and O's who married with Harbs. I feel like that run game is going to be, I think something to be, elated about. So take that where you want, Chev.
Okay. All right. So we said it on the Patreon. The issue with Achane is just that there might be, the elite X's and O's that Ko alluded to, those are out the door. And so we're going to have to we don't know what Hafley's going to do offensively. So that kind of puts you in this space. Like it could be bad and it dips to like 16 points a game. I mean, he was a part-time player in the system. He was 17 points a game his rookie year, 17 points a game last year. And then this year he took the step forward when he was, as a rusher and got back to the explosives and the volume in the pass game took a step back. So cool, man. If you want to just have Bijan and Gibbs in their own tier, that's kind of how I had it anyway. And then, Achane I would put ahead of Genty just because like we've already seen the ceiling. I'm fooling around on StatHead right now to try to find the stat, to try to find the most accurate stat I pulled up, but it's guys who with Genty who had averaged 60 yards rushing a game, which is basically where he came out this year, 60.4, and then generated 625 yards after contact. The list is fucking bonkers, guys. And it's just basically, a who's who of fantasy football running back success. I think, that being said, I've got to move Amarian Hampton. Up a little bit. He's probably, here he goes firmly ahead of, a lot of the guys, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, and he should. But I do think that this could be an absolute boom from a production standpoint. I think Amarian came out to be 15 points a game. We could push 20 or even more if this Mike McDaniel thing is going to work the way that we all seem to believe it's going to work. It's like it's too big to fail. Like we know the offensive line is going to get better. We know Amarian Hampton just needs to stay healthy. We know Mike McDaniel is one of the most elite run game sequencers and play callers and understands defenses at a level that people, don't really give him credit for because he sounds like such a fucking goofball. But yeah, I'm a big fan, and I think that this is going to mean tremendous things. I still just wouldn't take him ahead of Achane because Achane has the nuclear upside. He's still got the one trick. He's still one of the fastest players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not going anywhere. So yeah, for me, I'm still going Achane. I just think that Omarion Hampton could, where he's at right now, could be a value because he's going to outperform that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you've taken Hampton over the Taylors and the Cooks of the world just with age, right? I mean,
slam dunk, yes.
And everybody feels comfortable with that.
I'm comfortable with that.
I can still take Taylor.
With no quarterback.
I know. I could still take Jonathan Taylor. I mean, that's the potential word. The X's and O's just goes to, I think, like you said, Casey, you're marrying with Harbaugh here. So, like, the biggest knock on the Miami culture was the lack of the hard-nosed, like, we're not really out there, like almost like a flag football team, and they can't travel and they can't play defense, and they can't play in the cold. Like, all that's going away when you walk on the field and for the Chargers with Harbaugh. And so now you got, the chin straps are tight for the Chargers, right? That's how they're going to come out there with the chin straps tight. And then you bring those X's and O's. So I can get on board with what, everybody should be excited about this. Just like Chev said, Jonathan Taylor's an absolute stud. And I think that would, for me, is like, situationally, I'm shoehorning Hampton into a level that I haven't seen him be, and I know that Taylor is.
Well, all right. He was 15 points a game last year. Like, Jonathan Taylor, I think, finished around like 17 or 18. And he gets we could say potential, but it's not that much potential. Like, when he's healthy, he did it.
Yeah. I didn't mean that like a knock at Hampton at all. That's just like,
I didn't take
Taylor.
I didn't take
Taylor, that's just like hey, let's not forget how awesome Taylor was for the first 10 games of the season. And, you could go back and point to a couple of reasons things fell off. Everything kind of slowed, kind of drifted back just a little bit with this broken leg that the quarterback was playing through. And we didn't even have to watch that very long. But a week later, his foot fell off. So like that, and then everything kind of came apart. I don't know. And then, maybe when things tighten up defensively like that, now Taylor's not working with as much, because the first, 5, 6, 8 weeks, we were talking about astronomical offensive numbers, and the defense had to literally defend every blade of grass, including quarterback running. Jonathan Taylor, all pro running back, tight end, rookie tight end was all the rage, going up the seam and working the boundary, and Pittman, and it's just, and Alec Pierce coming to life, and a lot going on, and a really good Josh Downs running around there being open all the time, can barely get a target, just a lot going on over there. And I just feel like Taylor, it's really easy to forget how awesome he was in the first 10 games, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts, fell apart a little bit there down the stretch. What I will say is, I feel like there's an aggressiveness with the new ownership there, where whatever they're going to do, I don't think they're going to come in here with unknown at quarterback. They're either going to be feeling really good with Daniel Jones, and I mentioned it in our Discord. People were saying, "Where's Willis going to go?" And it's like, if the Colts could easily be in the Willis game, and if Willis wants to go make him some money, that's probably the best landing spot, right, for a season.
Oh yeah,
right.
That'd be huge.
If they don't feel good about where Daniel Jones is going to be, and frankly, like, if you're going to play Jones, you don't want to rush him back, right?
Yeah, right.
If you're the Colts, so hey, we can give you a pretty good salary with 2 or 3 years, because we want to see how you play again. Unfortunately for Jones, and then we do a 1-year deal like we just did with you with Willis, and he comes in.
Yeah,
play, right.
I love that.
And for Willis, business wise, you might take a little less on the front end, but it could net you way more on the back end.
I love that for Willis and the Colts, because worst case scenario, you got Daniel Jones is coming back anyway. I mean, but maybe he's free agent. Chev told us a couple weeks ago he's a free agent, but like the idea that, hey, nobody's going to be more interested in Daniel Jones than the Colts right now because they just had him in house and saw it go pretty well. And then it's got his Achilles went out, so he's not going to cost as much. But like for Willis, from the Colts perspective, if he comes in there and cuts it up, that's best case scenario. So now you have a little backup quarterback now, and you can let Daniel Jones go if Willis turns out to be a franchise quarterback. And if not, you're not paying anybody massive money, right? Yeah. So like this is like one of the times where you don't even have like a failed rookie quarterback on the right. Well, I guess you have Anthony Richardson. But yeah, I guess. Well, forgot about that already.
Maybe they just roll with that and they're cool with it. And Miami just signed a Packer, so maybe he goes to Miami, right? With insurance over there. So possibilities with Willis, but certainly I feel like the Colts are going to be aggressive in figuring something out there. So I don't think I worry too much about the point of the quarterback there to your quarterback list point. Chev there real quick here, let's catch up some people. We got the third round. If you're listening on the pod tomorrow, it started with Nix and Dart. We had Nico, Lad, Marv, Tet, T-Law at 3-7, JT, Rice, Barkley, Garrett Wilson, and Brian Thomas coming in at 3-12, and then Roma Dunze in the fourth, Cook at 4-2, McCaffrey at 4-3. So is that where McCaffrey's been going? George Pickens at 4-4, Derrick Henry at 4-5, Brock Purdy at 4-6, T. Higgins at 4-7, Aiyuk at 4-8, Breece Hall 4-9, Travion 4-10, Jordan Love 4-11, and Chris Olave coming in at 4-12 here. Anything in this first four excite you? Jump off the page to you like, you don't like here, boys?
Love that T-Law love.
3-7.
Love that T-Law love. That's aggressive, and I like it.
Yeah, I like. Shout out 843. I'm assuming Fenn is maybe from the Chuck here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. I'm assuming. JSN, Bowers, T-Law, Purdy, Bird, and Ken Walker. That's a pretty fun start.
Yeah, that's sexy.
Man, there's a handful of teams here. I was right after it happened. Old Telly Dan over here got Gibbs, Justin Jefferson. Comes back with Bo Nix at the 3-1, 4-12, 5-1 turn, gets Chris Olave, a Loveland. Those first 5 picks to me were a lot of fun.
Yeah, it feels like that's a little early on McCarthy right now, but maybe not.
I mean, hitting
at the round.
Double down went McCarthy shuck, so
it could still work out a ton. I really like, just a minute ago there was only 5 spots there instead of 7, drafted. And the first 5 picks were really nasty. And then the 110 spot with Puka, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins is your first 3. And then he came back with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins, 5-3. That is one fun nucleus to get started. He's working those trenches right there to get started.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a good build. If he's got to play a quarterback game here, J-Mo, to kind of catch up. To kind of secure some things here late, so we'll monitor on how he plays that out. But Bryce Young's his first one, which, we're on shaky ground with Bryce, but he keeps reeling you back in a little bit. But a great, fun start where you can play with that core, and obviously Scats and Quinshon injured, later in the season here. But you can play the poverty quarterback game when you got a starting lineup with that potential firepower in there, right?
Yeah, I will say. 5-3 Judkins is fun, but like if playing the quarterback game is tough. Jared Goff's still on the board, Dak Prescott's still on the board, so he had options. But like if I got to that spot and I had those 3 wide receivers, Nakua, Lamb, and Nico Collins, which is 3 amazing guys to start your team with, and I'm sitting at 4-10, and I'm like, Casey, we got to take Travion here. I'm gonna die if we don't take Travion. You could potentially just try to trade your 5-3 up to 4-11 if you felt under the gun. And now you got 2 back-to-back, and you can trade Travion and then maybe that Jordan Love that got taken at 4-11 and stay out of the quarterback purgatory, or play it like you played it, get the 2 running backs, and then try to trade up and like secure just like the stability of Goff or Dak. To me, feels so much better than rolling 2 more rounds, and now your first one is Bryce Young. I'd rather, right? If you're going to play it with those first 5 picks with no quarterbacks, and you're just going to let them hang down low, and you're just going to do it like that, then I'm going to try to move around a little bit and try to grab me a a Goff or a Dak or maybe two of them.
I would, yeah. I mean that is precious information. Like the tier up in terms of what they're going to offer you from a stability standpoint, points per game, like what they're actually going to do, does not align with their value here at all. So,
right.
I mean, Goff's going to be, every other year, Dak's, a top 6 quarterback in points per game. Goff's going to be top 10 on a year in, year out basis. So, like, just that volatility that you have, and is it worth it that much to have, injured Cam Scatterbo, where, he could get Wayne Gallman, he could get Tyrone Tracy. Like, it could just not work out the way that we want it to work out. So, Big Co, you and I did one of these, and we talked about being like, we were drafting as we were chopping it up. And I was like, bro, I'm kind of stuck right here. So I took a quarterback. And he was like, that's a good thing to do. You get stuck, take a quarterback. I would have taken a quarterback there because that value that you're going to be able to get in your lineup from a points per game perspective with Goff or Dak Prescott is going to be so much more than, like, you've got you took 2 injured running backs. So you've got to do some backfill. You got to do some backfill there in the first place. But it's just the quarterbacks there they're so disrespectfully valued. Like Dak Prescott, he's 32 years old. It's not like that's, a death rattle for quarterbacks anymore. So, like, what are we doing? Now, my favorite team so far, I'm not going to lie to you. My favorite team so far is the 111. Like, I like everything that's going on there. So,
he got Tucker Kraft was the icing on the cake for you.
Well, I mean, bro, you come out the gates hot with Trey McBride, and then you get Tucker Kraft, my guy, in the 5th round.
Yeah,
with the upside of Dart, which we can get into that too. But that's my favorite so far.
Superflex tight end premium. So that's why the tight ends are where they are. In case you missed the beginning for some reason. But 6th round Tucker Kraft, got to deal with a little bit of injury, but should be back. It was early enough. But grabbing Jacobs and then, Chuba in the 8th, which, we don't really necessarily know exactly how the usage of Chuba is going to go, but Rico's probably out of there. Chuba had a little bit of resurge throughout the back half, and then, was catching some balls, showing some explosive nature back in there. They did pay him. So 8th round Chuba, 7th round Jacobs is real nice. You got a young buck and Bucky. You got 2. You can flex one of these tight ends because you got. Yeah, now you have flexibility to be able to move a tight end if you want. I'm getting another tight end if I'm him at some point.
Sure.
That's really good. He came back with Godwin in the 9th, which, I don't know exactly who's available at this moment, but Love and Dart are good. Neighbors off the injury rebound, right? But yeah, no, I don't hate that build at all here to kind of start. I don't know if I would have went Godwin in the 9th or not.
I like the player, like you said, it's probably more like an early 10th because we just did that mock draft on Sleeper, and I think I took Tank Bixby or something, and it was either mid 10th or late 10th or something, and I was like, as soon as I clicked the button, I was like, ooh, I should have taken Godwin. So I like Godwin, but maybe, if you're at 9-2 and you can look around and just see some players that are going to be higher ranked dynasty wise, like, just for instance, Trey Benson and Matthew Golden are off the board since the since the Chris Godwin pick. That's the kind of, you're looking at it in Aronde Gadsden, right? Like Casey said, I can't see the players, but as the picks keep going off, you're like, all right, well, all those guys probably should be taken in dynasty over Chris Godwin. Not that Chris Godwin isn't going to help you, week 1 next year in your starting lineup.
Yeah, all he needed another receiver, so all those guys are kind of questionable whether or not you're going to be able to play him. Gadsden being somebody else that you could have thrown in there. The reason I was taking another tight end there was just gives me a little flexibility that if I really needed to move a Kraft or a McBride, which I don't want to, that I could, potentially to fill out the spot. Go ahead, Chip.
Yeah, that third guy, especially if it's Gadsden, I'm gonna be levitating like it's 3 a.m. in the cement aisle. Like, if my third tight end is going to be Aronde Gadsden. So yeah, I could understand why you went Chris Godwin there. Cause You're wanting to fill that wide receiver, but don't get caught in like, I have to fill this position.
Mm-hmm.
Take the value. Like that's the one thing that, I've heard you guys say to you, but like, don't fill like, and that's an evolution as a player thing. Like you're like, I got to fill this spot. There's a blank spot here. And it's like, no, dude, you can trade and fill that spot. You don't have to solve it right now, but more talent, more guys that are going to be positional values versus just being rigid and trying to take a player just to fill a spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Godwin, for your functionality, the team is going to be fine, for the most part there. So I can understand it. Going back into this 5th round, 2 guys here that jump out to me to talking about is CJ Stroud and Sam Laporta, right? What do we do with Stroud? What's our feelings on Stroud moving forward? And then Sam Laporta, Petzing coming in as the OC now in Detroit. So, what are we doing with CJ Stroud? How comfortable are we with CJ Stroud? What's our thoughts moving forward with CJ Stroud?
Well,
I'll let somebody else go first because I'm gonna.
Well, for the Dynasty folks, it was a bad look in the back, to walk off and sit with for 9 more months until we see actual game footage. So 5'10" reflects what we just saw, right? So it's a given that he's going to be cheaper, and this might be his cheapest offseason ever, right? So I mean, I don't see any reason why he can't return value at 5'10". And the guy that took him at 5'10" already had 2 quarterbacks. He was probably like, I can't believe CJ Stroud is here. Look at the drop off after this name. I'm taking CJ Stroud, right? It's, they surrounded him with weapons to try, 2 seasons in a row. Some good young, Higgins and Noel are coming back, not rookies anymore, got a season under their belts, made it to the playoffs. Of course, that game was sloppy, and it was in the snow and sleet, and it was in, Foxborough, and Nico Collins wasn't there. Tight end gets knocked out early in the game. I'm not making any excuses for Stroud's play. I'm just saying those were all things that happened as well. He didn't look anywhere near as good as, Drake May in that game. He had a couple of bad plays. He had a couple of bad decisions. He had a couple of bad throws on good decisions. Ball was slipping out of his hand. Looked like a tiny hands game for a quarterback, right? Looked like, he might have huge hands. It looked like he had tiny hands out there playing that game. His hands may be fine. But it looked bad this week. He looked like he had little tiny teeny hands out there. This week. 2
weeks in a row, right? I mean, he was fumbling around. In both of those games. And, I wonder if we let the show off talking about Tua. CJ had that concussion, and now that's not his first one, and now it seemed like kind of since then, and I don't know what the splits were pre and post. I don't think he was playing awesome all season, but I think he had some good stretches where, regardless of what the numbers were, he was operating all right. Now obviously the offensive line, but you put that offensive line together with, hey, I had a concussion that kept me out for a game or 2, right?
3.
Yeah.
3. And now I'm very uncomfortable back here all of a sudden, right? Again, just talked about Tua, right?
That's a great point.
I don't know how much, if that's a point at all, but that was just kind of something that I was thinking about in that after the first Pittsburgh game. I was like, well, I'm excited he gets to move on, and maybe we can shake this off, because in the Pittsburgh game, some bad plays, but then, like you said, some great throws, right? They weren't all great throws. There were some questionable things going on, but he made some great throws. Like, oh, there it is. And then that New England game was, hey, he had a drop here or there, but just bad throws, tiny hand game. But is the confidence rattled? Like, the whole Tua conversation we started the show off with, like, man, am I all of a sudden getting a little squeamish back there, where I would have stood in there tall and delivered that without any problem before?
Yeah, and obviously we won't. I can only hope that goes away week 1 next year. But that's a great point. Not even something I thought about. Man, that's a good thing to think about. I had a car wreck when I was a senior in high school, and I was in AP calculus class. I didn't even know I had a concussion. I got in a car wreck on the way to school, went to school, had a test, didn't write anything down. Didn't know it till the next day. Teacher was like, yo, you didn't write anything down on the test. And I was like, I got sent home yesterday for a concussion. And I didn't know anything. Knocked the math right out of me. And I was always good at numbers. It took me, I had to go get tutoring from that teacher to be able to take the AP calculus exam before the end of school year. I didn't know anything. It knocked it right out of me. It was crazy. So now that you say all that, I'm literally thinking about that when you're talking about Stroud. And I'm like, well, I've kind of lived this. Everything else in my life was fine, but like that's what I was headed to do. I was going, my first class was math. It was calculus that morning. I got in a car wreck, had a concussion, and I could not do calculus for weeks. I swear it was crazy. That's true. It's a true story. I had to go get tutoring from the dude at night.
So that was just something. I'm not trying to make an excuse for anybody, but that was just a thought process that had came into my head there. So, Chev, you said it seemed like you were maybe gonna go to take a turn to negative town here with CJ. So what's your thoughts here, kind of moving forward on him?
Actually, the opposite, and I think
okay.
You got to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. It's, you brought up an excellent point that nobody's brought up, in that, knocking a guy around who suffered a head injury can probably throw them off kilter and make them a little bit skittish and squeamish. You've heard me, for about, since I've been on the show, talk about how the organization has done the opposite of what you want to do to support a young quarterback. Like, we don't have continuity as a play with the play caller. And you could say, you can go back to the thing where, Slowick and CJ Stroud just hate each other. But like, we don't have, it was magical that first year. And I don't know if it was just the off schedule stuff or what, but, obviously there's a level of comfort that he had with Tank Dell. Him not being out there plays a factor. He's replicated some of that, but Christian Kirk wasn't a consistent part of the game plan, if it's injury or just play design. And, I just don't feel like they don't have that mind meld that you have with an experienced play caller and a young quarterback that you saw with basically Kyle Shanahan understood all of Brock Purdy's weaknesses and then put him in a position to accentuate it. Trevor Lawrence, after the bye week with Liam Cohen, he basically was like, hey, you just got to let it go. And Trevor Lawrence came out and played the best football of his career. We don't have that with CJ Stroud, and I can't really project that anymore because I don't believe in Nick Caley. I don't believe the Texans are a competent organization. And, he's very clearly a good quarterback. I don't think that he's a driving factor. Like, he doesn't run. So from a fantasy perspective, it kind of limits what you're expecting. But if he's going to be my QB3, like, sure. Right. Like, there's people, I saw in a group chat, I saw a poll where it went, is CJ Stroud September 2024, CJ Stroud a franchise quarterback, or it's February, CJ Stroud a franchise quarterback? Yes. Okay. September of 2025, is CJ Stroud a franchise quarterback? Yes, but it's 50-50 yes and no. And then they did a poll last week, and is CJ Stroud a franchise quarterback? And it was 90% no. So you just got to be a thermostat, not a thermometer in this situation. And I think that CJ Stroud has the tools to be functional. It's just that there, for various different reasons, it's just been misfire after misfire. If he's in a system with an elite play call, like him with a guy like Mike McDaniel would go absolutely crazy. Now, that's not going to happen. But what I'm saying is, you give him a plus play caller, I bet you he looks like a totally different quarterback, and these questions go away.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it in there. We just saw it with Trevor Lawrence, right? Mm-hmm. Which we've been waiting for.
Those were great examples when you got started with Purdy and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, just we've seen glimpses of Trevor. We've seen Trevor have kind of CJ-esque moments that he's having now, right? Right. And we've seen good. CJ was great. Was he going to be the next Joe Burrow after that rookie? After that rookie season, right? And he can run a little bit. We saw it at the end of that New England game. Like, if we could look, Trevor's running around now, a little bit, banging it around. And so, yeah, Eric in the comments echoed sentiments of Houston GM and OCs have failed CJ. Like, and it seems like we're going to go in, they're going to go into year 2 with Caley. He hasn't really called plays like that before, right? So this was maybe they were just finding their groove. I'd be interested to see what their relationship is, but you know, they've gone in the direction of, hey, we're going to put a bunch of playmakers around you, but really, like, what we need to be doing is putting the trenches together around you, right?
Yes.
So
like they trade Tunsil, which we thought could be addition by subtraction because he was disgruntled, but like it's just been, I mean, it's been absolutely piss poor. And now, I mean, they drafted Ursery, which is a step in the right direction, but you know, that's a hole that you're trying to fill with Flex Seal, and it's the size of a lake.
Yeah. So I mean, certainly I don't mind him as a 2 now, which is kind of where you were probably getting him last year as kind of a 2. But if you have him as a 2, you have to have a competent 3 at this point, right? That's kind of where I'm at with CJ. But ceiling's really fun. There's a high level because there is a whole bunch of talent surrounding him. We got to get comfortable with play calling and them gelling together, and we've got to get a little bit of better protection. Defense is awesome, right? Typically things that are good for young learning quarterbacks. Hey, we don't need you to go out there and set the world on fire. We just need you to not do what you've been doing these last 2 games, man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't turn it over. So, and then, switching over to Laporta now, KP Killer Potato Fish here says that was an auto pick. He didn't mean to, but he would have certainly taken Kraft. Regardless here, Laporta getting whatever you think of Petzing gotta make you very intrigued here, right?
Very much so.
For sure. Stock up. Laporta, can we get a doctor to say his back's okay?
Doctor told me I gotta get a backiotomy.
Telling me his back's okay, we're good,
I think it's gonna be fine. I mean, Gronk had 2 back surgeries.
Good.
But it's also Gronk. Like he probably
I don't know if I want to compare anybody to Gronk physically.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, he probably just like rubbed some tussin on it and was like, "All right, man, we're good."
Keep it going. Yeah. Oh, I have. They told me my back's hurt. I'm still playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have seen a lot of people come back from back stuff, and recently I feel like there's been way more back stuff that I can remember than people coming back from it and it not really being a blip on the radar necessarily. Some quarterbacks here and there, and people playing with some injured back stuff, and I don't really know. I feel pretty confident. I got to take Kraft over him, of course. But after that, like, would you rather have Harold Fanning or Laporta?
Laporta.
I mean, it's Laporta if his back's okay, but Harold Fanning, like I talked about this 2 weeks ago when I was here. Targets are everything for a tight end. Not a lot of them get them, and he was getting them. The boys were giving him handoffs at the goal line. I know the coach is out, and I know everything can start back over, but Fanning was the best playmaker the Browns had last year.
Sure. Yeah.
Rookie tight end with multiple rookie quarterbacks,
Mm-hmm. No, you got to be excited about what you saw from Fanning. It's just there's a lot more up in the air there. Now there is a back situation with Laporta, but you just went and got Ben Johnson's literal best friend and somebody who just crushed it with the tight end. Them boys were best
for sure
men in weddings, and they come out of the same, same mindset of how to call and run plays. Now, obviously, Petzing was in Arizona. We saw what happened when they transitioned to Brissett, though, in the play calling. Now, I don't think they're going to sling it around like they were at the end of the season there with as much as they were with Brissett at the end there. But, they're I think you're having a little bit more balanced attack, but you just went and got the closest thing to Ben Johnson, and not from X's and O's, obviously, at this point, Ben Johnson is, but I mean, like, he's as physically as close to Ben Johnson in real life as you could get. So, and kind of the same brain trust sort of situation there. So
that's huge for the Lions. I thought with, the Mike McDaniel interview happened, and I was like, come on, baby, just give me some Adam Schefter saying it happened. Give me a contract. And then nothing for a minute. And then we got Petzing. It's like, all right.
I think on the surface, everybody goes, man, what the fuck? But I thought that was a decent hire for everybody. Now, I know we talked about this on the Patreon too, Chev. Where does this leave J-Mo? right? And that's a big question that could hurt your heart, right?
I mean, you gotta, I could wish in one hand and piss in the other one and see which one fills up first. I don't think it's good news for JMO at all, but
Why
they
is that?
paid him. Why? Because I
Yeah.
mean, we've never seen a Petsing offense support 2 wide receiver ones. Like we didn't see one. It was so bad for Jameson Williams that you had people saying like, I think I'd rather just go to the waiver wire and start John Mechie over him at one point this year. I mean, is that really dumb? Sure.
Yeah.
But that's a sentiment that like players felt. And then he was basically a league winner, even though he threw up a 0 at one point over the back half of the season. I want to know, I want to see what the plan is. Because I mean, yeah, you're going to get back to a lot of the power and the gap schemes and everything that Drew Petzing presented, but a big thing that we're not talking about is the catalyst and the architect of that run game truly was Clayton Adams, and he's in Dallas now. So I want to see what it looks like, what his plan is. I mean, I know the Lions were very zone heavy with Jahmyr Gibbs this past year. That hasn't been Petzing's cup of tea. I don't know what to do with Jameson Williams. We're kind of in this gridlock where I'm wanting him to take the step forward. He had a career year this year, and he played all 17 for the first time, because of injuries or suspension or whatever. So, like, I think he's next. I think he's this generation's Tyreek Hill. I think he's that good. I don't know that he's going to get utilized like that. And that's what I see and what I feel. My initial feeling for Drew Petzing going there is like, wheels up Sam Laporta. I need to go buy as much Sam Laporta as humanly possible. And then I don't know what to do with Jameson Williams because we thought he's going to take this step forward. He takes a step forward. Now he gets a guy, and I don't know where the prioritization will be. Like, they're going to run a shit ton of 13 personnel. That can't be good for Jameson Williams. So, like, that's my thing is I would love to feel great about him, but I just don't right now.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know how you don't try to work him into the offense as much as possible with his every time he touches the ball it's electric. So
Exactly.
at one point Dan Campbell was like, that's the guy we got to get the ball to. And it's when your offense starts with St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, good luck being number 3, right? And that's why Jared Goff is such a safe asset right now because he's been QB 5, 6, 7 for 4 years in a row because he's got Laporta and St. Brown and Gibbs and Jameson Williams. And which Laporta's the one that got hurt this year. I was talking about it before the season. It's like, what happens when somebody gets hurt and Jameson Williams, or Laporta or whoever doesn't get hurt is going to crush. And of course, most of them stayed healthy. Obviously Laporta went down, but there's just so many options. So yeah, I mean, there's only one football. Right. And you Casey mentioned that you don't know if they're going to be you can't imagine they're going to be quite as aggressive as the Cardinals were down the stretch. And that's, to me, that's an easy yes, agreed with Casey, because the Cardinals had nothing to play for. Right. At a minimum, the Lions are going to be in games.
Also, all the running backs were hurt.
Expected to make the playoffs, and so like you can't just be willy-nilly chucking it 40 yards deep every play when you're supposed to be trying to win. Like, that's not, so like the Cardinals are like, Jacoby Brissett's like, hey, I don't know if I'll ever get to play again. This is great. Let's go. And the wide receivers are like, what? We getting targets downfield? Let's go, And so that was a good time. There's some fantasy points to be had. But, yeah, you're not going to be chucking it deep every play in Detroit because you're actually trying to win the game. You got to play a little bit of small ball, and you got to mix it in and have a good, got to keep the defense honest and not trying to keep them off balance is the name of the game in the NFL.
So to that point, like even last year, obviously there was a step back to the point where John Morton just wasn't it. Like the one ball thing really hurt Jameson Williams on the front end of the season because it was bad. I mean, I think up until the bye week, he was wide receiver 51. And I was like, hey, I think, we're going to level out a little bit to where he's going to end up being like, hopefully, if he ends up at 20, we got 3 really good games, but he gave us a bunch of really good games on the back end. and basically was a draw with Amon-Ra St. Brown over the second half of the season in terms of, yards gained. I think he was, like I said, on the Patreon, he was at 828. Amon-Ra was at, 863. He generated the second most plays at 20 plus yards on very limited volume, comparatively speaking, to all the rest of the wide receivers. So I want to believe that it's going to be good. I just from a personnel standpoint, it's just so gross. Like, he's going to use a shit ton. Like, hell, Brock Wright might even be a really good buy now because they're going to use so much 12 and 13 personnel.
Yeah.
I want to, but it hurts me. But the reality of the situation and what I would recommend people doing is just going and getting cheap Sam Laporta.
Yeah. And, the other factor is here, I can't imagine the franchise, Dan and them are going to be like, hey, let's not have J-Mo on the field. But Tesla came on and you got a new OC and, he made some wow catches. So now all of a sudden, are you divvying up J-Mo's stuff with Tesla, even if it's just a third of J-Mo's stuff with Tesla, which wouldn't make much sense. And we don't really know, good coordinators are going to come in and use the pieces that they have at their disposal to run the best offense that they can run. Right. So I don't know if Petzing's a good coordinator or not. I think he's better than we have been giving him credit for potentially, but this could be a disaster. But I'm choosing to look at it glass half full with, hey, we saw some good fantasy results from this offense in a bad situation with, a backup quarterback.
Agreed.
So that's kind of my first Petzing impressions here. Looking at the mock later round stuff or builds here, who comes away with some good late round value and who comes away as a build that you ended up liking? I know we were looking at J-Mo's team and Dan's team a little bit. We got Dougie Fresh at the 101 over here. So any general thoughts, conversations of a build or late round values that you really liked here?
Whew. All right. I like what Dougie's got going on. We're a little thin at the quarterback, but that's nice.
You got Allen holding you down with your one. That's like,
I didn't see Allen up there at the top. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. My bad. Yeah, that's solid, bro. I mean, taking a swing on the dip of injury wide, like the injury / poor performing wide receivers, like Drake London, Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze had ascended to new levels the first 6 weeks of the season, and then it cools off, and now he's back real affordable again. It's great. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I really like what he did here. And he got, Chase Brown love zero RB action. I don't know what he did. What's he doing? What we got going on at the bottom down there? The very bottom. Oh, so we're a little thin at running back, but load up on tight ends. Loaded up.
We gotta figure out something at the running back position, most likely here for your two.
You got 4 tight ends to figure as bullets to try to rectify that.
Yeah, you could have, there was some swings there. You probably could have taken at running back at least through that, 12 through 15 area. That I would have been okay having one less tight end there. I like the idea of all those. I like every single one of those tight ends, Goddard, Theo, and Henry, all guys that I love stabbing on. Goddard was awesome this year, kind of reinvigorated where you were. Now you're going to get a new OC. Is it going to be Brian Daboll? That would be pretty awesome. Theo Johnson going to have Monken and Harbs. That's pretty awesome. And Henry is the new Dynasty number 2 quarterback's best friend. So that's pretty awesome too,
Right.
So, and Hawk, if they could get quarterback play, Hawk, that's an extremely good value. It's just there's so much up in the air there.
It's real gross. That's real gross. Like,
he took 2 Vikings back to back there. Yeah. I guess it wasn't back to back. It would have been.
But back to back picks for him,
right.
Sure.
I don't think I could swallow that pill right now.
Nah, man. Jordan Addison's doing his best trying to go to jail.
Yeah, I mean they did. He said everything's good. They got it all swept
Oh,
under the rug.
good. But like, man, like once is an accident. It's the same theory I have when a bunch of people say you did some weird stuff, like with girls. Like one person says it, you're like, all right, man, that's just a little. But like 5 people say it, like I'm like, hey, bro, whatever it is that you're doing, man, stop trying to put the thumb in there. Stop, like whatever you're doing, stop it. All right. And we're on like incident number 4 or 5.
Who's somewhere? That's my question. No,
exactly. Exactly. Whatever it is, it's not welcome. So stop. Like, bro, stop trying to go to jail. I'm a big Jordan Addison guy. Casey, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Like, I was really bullish because I had bought in, like, all right, the Vikings know what they're doing with JJ McCarthy. I don't see it. But again, I don't know dick about ass with quarterbacks. So, like, I can't really, I can't say that he's not going to be good. Now, did he turn out to not do well this year? Sure. But we had the system and everything in place. Like, I was really bullish on Jordan Addison. And now I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know what to do there. But TJ Hawkinson is incredible. Like, if, and I know I don't want to be if man, if they can just get like stable replacement level quarterback play, that's a steal for TJ Hawkinson.
Definitely. I like, this was last week, two weeks ago when I was here, and also in the mock that we just had going around in the group, both of those had like Alec Pierce in the 10th and Christian Watson in the late 10th. To me, Alec Pierce and Christian Watson, Pierce is 8-2 here, so that's higher, 2 rounds higher. That's that's the difference. But if I get 9th and 10th round, if Alec Pierce can be my 9th round pick and Christian Watson can be my 10th round pick, I got a lot of upside in those wide receivers right there. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Two Packers, but Dubs probably not going to be a Packer next year. Jaden Reed, what a cluster there on the Packer turn at 10.
Same guy got Kraft and Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love. I mean, obviously his username should just say Packers.
Power stack.
But
Caleb Williams sucks.
Hey, that's been a fun little rabbit hole to get in on Twitter.
Oh man, and it's usually people from Wisconsin.
Oh, dude, they are in shambles right now with the fact that like Caleb, who they thought that Jordan Love was the best quarterback in the NFC North, and now having to accept that Caleb might be better than him. It's a fun little rabbit hole.
Oh, I like Jordan Love, but Caleb is 100% better than him. I'm a Jordan Love lover now.
Yeah,
but Caleb is
even. I'd say
Caleb is so much better than Jordan Love.
Yeah,
I'm a big guy. I'm a big Love guy. Caleb is so much better than Jordan Love.
Well, see, me going back to the discussion in the group chat with Jay Wayne a while back. Like, I hate Jordan Love apparently, but but I mean, I think he's solid high end QB2. But I think Caleb has the upside to be like top 5, top 4.
Yeah, like, this is the first time I've seen him 108.
Yeah.
Jay Love over Caleb all day. Woo! It's another.
Yeah. Let's check your location, bud.
Yeah. Definitely going Caleb there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I me too. I've been well documented in real life, maybe not fantasy. But I've been well documented to be quite the Caleb defender. So it's been a fun year. But and for the same reason, I'm not trying to load it on JJ McCarthy right now, because I do believe everyone needs their time and it's just different expectations set on who's around you and the coach that's with you. So I think that's why JJ's, and the people who were outspoken about JJ were convinced he was the best quarterback in the league, which, made it worse. And then he goes to that situation where you're like, this should be awesome. There shouldn't even be a learning curve. And, that's a lot to take in. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I still don't really love him and don't want him. I'd rather have Tyler Shuck. But
Shiv, I've been best friends with Casey for 20 years. Okay. There is nothing that man enjoys more than people prematurely saying somebody sucks and then them having to watch him have a good season. And then if that season turns to great at the end, Casey's living his best life right now. Okay. Yeah. Caleb Williams just became a fucking superstar. And Casey is living his best life because people jumped on him early and said he sucked, and that was way too early and no sample size and completely out of context with the whole first-year coaching situation with no quarterback coach, and he had to watch film by himself coming as a college quarterback to the NFL. And he was like, well, let's pump the brakes. Let's give this man a chance. And everybody was saying he sucked. Casey's so happy right now. I've never seen him smile more. He's living his best life. He loves it.
And T-Law in the same season.
And T-Law same year. Golly, Bo.
I don't even like quarterbacks.
Get you a scratch-off ticket tonight.
Yeah.
Got to.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chip.
No, I think that the Caleb thing, from a fantasy perspective, his ceiling's just higher because he has that, like, he's got a genius level play caller and he uses his legs a lot.
Yep.
And he's only getting better. Like he started avoiding the sacks, keeping the plays alive. He just made, some people are saying, 2 of the best throws in playoff history in his first postseason appearance. We're one lazy DJ Moore route away from 3 of the 4 2024 quarterbacks representing in the championship round.
Yep.
Like, he's on the way, guys.
Yeah, which you could say, hey, why did Caleb throw it there? And it's like, I mean, sure, but they've been doing that the whole back half of this run here. That was just bad angle and bad. Like, I don't even know what DJ Moore was doing. And some people who don't like Caleb are like, well, why did you do that? It was he should blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I mean, if you watch that play and didn't see that DJ Moore didn't take that angle correctly and wasn't like didn't effort, that you're just confirming biases right there. That's all you're doing.
There was a defensive, even non-court. There was I forget who it was, but like a high-profile guy, but it wasn't a quarterback. He was a defensive guy, and he tweeted. He was like, "Every wide receiver and tight end knows you got to shorten that route up to stay underneath the safety, you know." And it's like, and then you get all the other angles, and you watch it from the beginning. Like DJ Moore he must have been the 5th guy in the progression on that route. Maybe they've never thrown him the ball on that play. But like that gives you, there's no excuse for the way that play went for him. And it's crazy and it sucks because it had to be DJ Moore because
it's been
before
so good
that. He had what a great month he was having, right? Yeah. There was plenty of reasons to be upset with him throughout the season. And then and then a great month and he bails him out. He's the guy on all of the fourth quarter plays and everything else. And the announcers were talking about how awesome he's been. And then that's the play that happens after that, what just happened to get him in overtime, you know, that's a double whammy for DJ Moore.
Yeah. We got Killer Potato Fish. He said he was a T-Law hater, but he carried him in the finals of the highest money league, has to put some respect on his name, but then comes back and says, but low key, is it because Liam Cohen's attached to him? It's absolutely, but that's the point. The quarterback position is so dependent on the situation, right? And that's exactly the point. You can't, like, almost no quarterback exists without the other thing, right? Yeah. And it's impossible in this league. That to me is like everything, right? And no, there's not, even you could say Josh Allen maybe doesn't, but I mean, Dayball helped him get over some humps, and then he's okay. He might be a little bit of the outlier of like not some elite system around him doing something potentially, like as far as play calling, right?
Yeah, but I mean, right, like somebody helped Josh Allen go from not accurate to accurate, right? So there was a lot there. Go, Shep.
All right, so Josh Allen, for example, and I'm going to address this thing with Caleb too. So Josh Allen, super raw as a passer, does the work. Dayball, whatever you think about Dayball as a play caller, you can point to the way that Jackson Dart was playing with him, calling the plays, designing the plays at the helm. there's just so many different. Jaden Daniels getting off to a tremendous start his rookie year with Cliff Kingsbury. Kyler Murray having the most success he ever had as a play caller with Cliff Kingsbury. Lamar Jackson going from, winning league MVP with just basically his rushing and incredible passing touchdown efficiency being at like 7% touchdown rate. And the only guy on like in this first 2 rounds here that has thrived, or there's 2 guys that have thrived independent of situation, are Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Like those guys didn't have, they had dick ass play callers. The first, still I think Zach Taylor's a dick ass play caller and Joe Burrow's just that good and he has the weapons and stuff. But all of these guys, you talk about Trevor Lawrence, we were dog water for years and we were dead in the water. Brock Purdy, I talked about that at the beginning of the thing. Baker Mayfield gets with Liam Cohen. Dave Canales, then Liam Cohen. He's a quarterback whisperer. He revived Geno Smith. So acting like these guys are independent of the situation is just, I believe, the wrong way to look at it in totality. Mm-hmm. Like, why would you be looking at it like, oh, well, he's with this guy, so he might not be that good. Bro, the points are going into your lineup. What are we doing? Tyler Shuck balled the fuck out with Kellen Moore, and he looked incredible. Do we think Tyler Shuck's an incredible quarterback, or do we think the 26-year-old guy benefited from having a guy who played quarterback in the National Football League and has been calling and designing plays? Like, why are we doing this? Like, it doesn't really matter. And to answer the question about the Caleb thing, like, what kind of regression are you expecting? He's thrown 7 picks and 6 picks. He threw 6 picks in an impossible situation and came within 300 yards of setting the franchise record. And then the next year, he sets a franchise record for passing yards in the season and almost becomes the first 4,000-yard passer. So what kind of regression are you expecting? What if the receivers, he had the most dropped yards in the league this year?
Yeah.
What
so
if
real quick, Grayson asked, how much Bears success can we chalk up to luck? And kind of being a Bears year, it feels like we could actually see some Caleb regression, INTs, less TDs, was kind of what Chev was directing that towards. So certainly the Bears as a whole might not win as many games next year, right? And
the close score game regression could get them, but there's no chance in my mind that the passing yards per game for Caleb Williams doesn't go up. No chance. Like it is 100% bet that Caleb Williams passing yards per game goes up. I can't tell you he's going to stay healthy and pass for more yards and more touchdowns because anybody
and maybe he throws 3 more interceptions. That's sure.
Yeah, because he's going to because there's more even more. Because the volume of throws opportunities go up. He may throw more passes. He may do this. He may do that. And then the defense might not have as many turnovers this year. Defense wasn't that great. They were just ball hawks, So like that could be easily next year. They were like led the league in turnovers. That could
I guarantee you pretty much everything they're going to do is going to be on defense, right? I mean, everything on offense is pretty much ready to go into next year outside of depending on what we're going to do with running back.
All the anytime you still grab an O-line anytime you get a chance to get a value or you keep plugging that up. But it's going to be defense. O-line or defense, O-line or defense, O-line or defense, first three rounds.
Yeah, and I look at it as you've got a good play caller, and as you saw with we went through the season, like there was big misses and silly misses for Caleb and missteps but like as we went through, and they're still there, right? Nobody's trying to say that his completion percentage wasn't up to where it needed to be. Frankly, I don't really care about like all these silly quarterback EPA. Put him wherever you want. He goes out there, he balls out, and he wins games. But what I saw was that makes me feel comfortable was progression through the season, right? And we still missed things, but like it was all those short, intermediate in and out breakers that he was delivering on time. Like you said, Chev, there was plenty of Rome Odunze, and that just last game dropped a couple of balls. Loveland dropped a few balls in the last 2 games. He hadn't dropped the ball pretty much all year, right? So guys were starting to dropping balls here and there. Zacchaeus dropped balls in big situations. Redskins game, I think so. He had some drops. Burden had some drops here and there. So, they had times, and dude, T-Law went through this very similar thing where he had a ton of drops throughout there. And like, while he wasn't playing awesome, his boys weren't helping him out either. Right. So I see a lot of parallels in there and kind of where those two were. And like, the progression from Caleb from top to bottom was great. And it was a lot of little things. And then if you like a huge question, I feel like, and I've said this before, it got answered with Caleb, was who he was as a person and how bad he wanted this. And he wants it. And boys he's first in, last out, always with Ben. They're figuring things out. You don't think he's going to give him a reel of things you got to fix all of this, bud, So, yeah, and you're right. Things did go their way, but I think also when you're really, he manufactured some of those. Caleb manufactured some of those things to go their way, and you can't do any defenses, whatever, and you may not be as lucky. And it did feel like that's a good analogy of saying this year's Commanders is Chicago, but Chicago has so many better players on that roster. That's the difference to me, right?
Well, I think they set the league record for like
quarterback
wins.
aside.
The Bears set the league record, the NFL record for wins in the last 2 minutes, or leading or losing or being tied in the last 2 minutes and winning the game.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't even include the playoffs, and they did it, right?
Yeah.
But I guess it's Jay behind the scenes right now moving the screen around. He just showed us it was only like 17 or 18 points per game. It looked like for Caleb. So like, if we can. You said it 2 weeks ago, Casey. You were like, hopefully for Dynasty, the Bears take a quick exit right here, and we don't get the national stage for people to see how awesome, right? So we did get that, but we also got a season where Caleb didn't really blow the doors off the fantasy points.
Well, and he's QB5, I think.
Well, I think, but that was but he played them all, and a lot of quarterbacks got hurt.
Sure.
That was not points per. I think it says 18, 17. If 17 points a game is QB5, you got some quarterbacks got hurt.
Yeah.
But the point is, I still think that there's a chance. You need to be finding out how expensive Caleb Williams is in your league before he plays another game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and before, like he just the playoffs just happened. He's 1-8 tonight. He's in the middle of the first round tonight. Like, if I'm in a fantasy draft right now, I don't have to go very far before I'm taking Caleb Williams. Yeah. Really. I mean, it's the train's leaving the station, Bo.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And Grayson then followed up and said they didn't want to take any credit away from him. Eye test is still shaky to me. That would be my disagreement. Is like, yeah. Again, I felt like the eye test improved a lot through the season. The huge misses were out of here. And like, we talk about this all the time, but like, there's so much more equity built up with these other quarterbacks. Like, and I use this as an example, but like in the last game of the season, Josh Allen was playing for home field or I forget exactly when it was, but he was rolling to one side and completely missed the throw. Nobody said a word about it. Like, completely missed a huge throw to score a touchdown or 2 points. I forget what. Nobody cared. Right.
Yeah.
The good quarterbacks, they do miss throws, and nobody cares because there's equity built up with those guys. Caleb's under such a microscope. Half of everybody watching him wants him to fail. And so every little thing, go ahead, Chef.
It's the people that are being proven wrong about these quarterbacks have to hold on to. They've got to hold on to any single fabric that you could still be right. Like, people had to shut the fuck up about Lamar Jackson for 2 years when he just threw 65 touchdowns and just 11 picks. And the first time he gets hurt, it's like, oh man, I don't know. I think you should probably sell Lamar Jackson now. I think this could be the start of the decline. Like, you got to do this wish casting BS when it's like, hey, let's just talk about what's actually happening. And if you're watching the Bears and you're watching him be at his best, you're watching him be at his best in the high leverage moments, like, hey, we're losing, I have to do things to make us win. What about that says that, like, hey, I can't turn the knobs, turn the dial to where I can make it to where I do this all the time.
Right.
It's not like he's running around to do it. He's throwing seeds.
Yeah.
And you look at him throwing the football, and it's like there's not 32 other guys that can do. There's not 10 other guys that can make the throws that he makes.
Yeah, there's 2 or 3, and this is the thing is like all these other people around the league, and we talk about it all the time. They're always like, well, we don't have this difference maker, and it's like, well, a lot of teams, you just need a very good one, or at least an average one who can not mess it up in some situations. There's 3 or 4 teams that have this elite difference maker, and by the looks of it, it seems like I don't want to put the cart before the horse yet. It's a great season, and Grayson, you could be right, and we could see a little, but I don't think we've said it a million. I don't think you put the toothpaste back in the tube here with what Caleb can do, because the biggest part of it is, does he love it? Does he want it? And then the clutch gene and making crazy throws, that all stuff's there. If we can just build on, basically, I'm looking at this as your rookie year, because year 1 was, you almost had to, that was detrimental to what was going on.
Yeah.
So, but I'll let you guys chime back in here in a second, but in a minute here, we're going to kind of go over to the soft launch of the FFD website and show you kind of what we've been doing and building. And there's a bunch of things that we're going to eventually do with it. But we've got some good stuff to show you here. And we'll cruise over to that in just a minute. But if you wanted to finish any thoughts or anything of this conversation before we get going in another direction for a minute.
No, I'm good. Let's go to the launch, baby.
All right.
Bring it.
Go, Chev, did you have something?
No, I said bring it. I've been waiting.
Okay.
I've been waiting for this for.
Yeah. So we've
an hour and 10 minutes.
And I'm assuming maybe that's Grayson in the comments who has been helping us build this thing. Shout out to him. And this is now going to be sort of a home base for us of where everything's going to be. And the genesis of this is there is free crowdsource rankings. I've famously called Keep Trade Cut the homeless shelter of dynasty value. But
this is true. He really said that.
We've
that was
created
like 3 years
something,
ago too.
and Grayson kind of spawned this idea of, hey, let's build this thing out, and we got some, but this crowdsourcing thing could be really cool. And the difference is you don't have to answer a question to get in here, right? What we're going to be counting on is the community to come in here and have a good free resource where you can come in here, and it's essentially sort of like a Tinder for fantasy football. And you can come in here and do swipes. There's multiple different formats. There's single QB, there's Superflex, there's PPR, and there's tight end premium, right? So one of the first things that you want to do is go ahead and sign up, because once you sign up, now we can start tabulating your swipes, right? So there's a leaderboard. You can see who's been swiping the most daily, whatever. There's daily comparisons, there's daily rankings. So there's stuff to do on the daily if you want to pop in and do that. You can also swipe daily, right? So there's a whole bunch of stuff you do, but as you sign up, then you can link your leagues. We have a power ranking setting, right? We have there's a trade database, which is huge. The more people we get to link their leagues, the more trade database we can have, and we don't have to go to places like Dynasty Daddy to look at that anymore. We can keep that all in-house. So lots of key features to just be signed up for. And then, another one is after you're 1,000 swipes in on a format and you're signed in, you will then it'll start calculating your personal rankings, right? So after all the swipes you've done for the crowdsource, it'll tabulate a my ranking situation for you as well. So that'll kind of give you, hey, I've been swiping. This is just my version of the crowdsourcing, right? So now you kind of have a thing of your own rankings. So lots of different options on the site, lots of different things to do. Obviously Jay Wayne is controlling that right now, so I don't have control of the swipes, but here's an example. We're at Superflex. Tight end premium is the setting. First question prompt, Rashee Rice or Caleb Williams, right?
That was first. That's one quarter. He had it on one quarterback for a second. So just so you know, before you swiped it.
So obviously we're gonna
Superflex, he switched it over.
Obviously we're gonna take Caleb Williams in that situation. So it's really that simple. You go in here, you click around, and with everybody's help, we can come in here and create a very cool free situation where you can use this as a tool to me and Chev were just talking about this last night. You start doing swipes and it starts making this choices and thoughts that you haven't thought about before, of like, you thought this was one way and now I've been prompted with this. Do I really feel this way? Right. So, it's a really nice tool to be able to just kind of like, hey, I don't have to get in a mock draft right this minute. I can come in here and do some swipes and see how I feel. And then I can look at the crowdsource rankings and say, do I agree with this? Do I disagree with that? You have personal rankings. You can put those up against the crowdsource. So just a free way to keep your pulse on what is going on out there. And the more people who participate, the more swipes we get, the better information we'll have. When you're bored, taking a poop, commercials at work, and you're in a dumb meeting, or, whatever you're doing, just, you could get 10, 20 swipes in, get 100 swipes in a day. Real simple, real easy. And eventually, you'll really get in there. And like I said, you'll have your own rankings that'll tabulate through there. So, there'll be a stock watch of who's moving up and down in the last 10 days and further out than that. So you can kind of see who's going up and down. Now, sure, there are probably some bugs throughout this thing to figure out, and all these values certainly aren't ironed out to the fullest. Like, that's where you guys are going to come in. We need you guys to be in there helping us out, getting some swipes in, getting different opinions, because this isn't just about, fantasy isn't about your opinion. You need to know your opinion, but really at the end of the day, it's about what's everybody else's opinion and how can I take advantage of that, right? So this is a good free resource to help you do that. And again, you don't have to come in here and answer questions if you don't want to get to the site to look at it. Whereas, that's always been I don't like keep trade cut, because, how many people are just clicking these 3 buttons to get, right to the action, right? So this is more, hey, we can do, swipes. And so, you'll get lower level swipes, you'll get upper level swipes. You can skip a swipe if you don't like it. There's a share tool to go share it and get other people's opinion on the swipe. And then there's an undo if you don't like the swipe, right? So we're going to be using this a ton throughout all of the content that we're making. It's going to be a big key part in what we do kind of moving forward. If, for right now, where the trades are going, like if you guys go link your trade database to it, those could easily be things that we talk about, trades that we see on there of like, oh, hey, it's not a huge database at the moment. So we might we see a cool trade. We might be able to, get you right in there and talk about it. But there's also power ranking features, just like some of the other websites out there, that you can go load your leagues into it. You can see on the tab that Jason has open with my leagues right there. You can click on a league and then you can go in there and you can look at, power rankings and all that other stuff. And there's going to be a whole bunch of other things added to this feature as we move forward. But just like I said, just like every other sort of website like this, Dynasty Daddy, which is what we've been using for forever. This is, part of that is to not have to use that website anymore, right? We can all do this all sort of in-house, right? And do it how we want it and have full control over it, right? Expert rankings will be added to this. There'll be, I believe, eventually a way that you can make your own rankings in this to save, right? As if you don't want to use the crowdsourced ones. So lots of different options coming. We'll have roster reviews tied into this as well eventually, trade calculator, lots of really, really cool things coming down the pipe here. And then, of course, you can find all of our content on this website as well. So, what I've been messing with this for a while. Grayson and Jason have been in the background hammering this thing out. Any issues or errors or anything that you guys want to know about it, feel free to hit us up. That's going to be a big part of this. So any thoughts, questions, comments from the peanut gallery over there?
Oh, it's super cool, man. Super cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, just being able to put your leagues in there and looking at power rankings, that's fun. The trade database that's going to come through this is going to give you all the trade talks you can handle. That's just badass.
Yeah, and you can see at the top left there, that's the swipes, the data points. That's the swipes that we've had total on the website. and a lot of that has been working kinks out and bugs out and figuring out how all these weights get bracketed and work correctly. And we feel pretty good about where it's at right now. A lot of beating this thing up, a lot of conversations, but, as you enter into this thing for the first time, your first 500 swipes are going to be a lot more high-end swipes for more fun, for your pleasure. And then, there'll be some lower level stuff in there, but this is really going to be hinging on you guys helping us out and taking advantage of this free tool that can, spurn a lot of thought, conversation, and help you out in your trades and your values. So
I've been swiping this whole time.
It obviously works on mobile, works on desktop, whatever you want. There's an FFD score. It breaks it into tiers. So, late first round pick in 2027 or Sam Laporta. Tight end premium. What do you like, guys?
Sam Laporta.
Sam Laporta.
All right. Michael Penix or Scatabo.
Oh, wow. That's gross. That's so gross.
It's
all right.
Give
me Captain Durag.
Ooh, I think you got it. Scat Pack value right now is better, I think.
Oh, for sure. I just can't. I take integrity. I can't quit him yet.
Well, it better be Penix.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting conversation.
If it's not Penix, the Falcons are in trouble.
Well, we got Kirk back. We talked about this on the Patreon last night. We got Kirk back with Stefanski. Penix late season injury. Kirk wasn't playing terrible at the end of the season. Another season removed from the ACL. Is Kirk going to get a run here with the Falcons to start the season?
That's a really good 15th. Where did he go in the draft tonight? Where did Kirk Cousins go in the draft tonight?
Yeah, undrafted.
No, I saw his name up there.
Parko went like around 15 or 16.
13-2.
13-2.
Solid pick there for a guy that's going. He's probably going to make some starts. He obviously is still an NFL quarterback, so that's a good 13th round quarterback pick there in a startup.
Yeah. So we'll be doing plenty of we're going to do lives with just coming on here and look, we did one swipe where we talked Penix and thing. We get into another conversation. So this is we could be sitting here swiping, having conversations about Luther Burden or Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
Wow. You answered this one.
I mean, I want it to be Luther Burden. I think currently value wise, it's still Brian Thomas, but I don't think the DJ Moore interception might help my case. Really.
So the only problem.
If you would have just tried.
Yeah, the only problem between us and fully unlocked Luther Burden is the $28 million dead cap hit the Bears have to eat to get rid of DJ Moore's contract.
Yeah. Well, do they take a little bit of that and trade him to somebody else, right?
Like, do they restructure? Because they've got so many holes to fill defensively. Like, offensively, they're good. I mean, they'll have to replace Ozzie Trapillo because he tore his patellar tendon. But I
think safely you can go Brian Thomas here right now, just to keep it moving, Jason.
Go ahead.
I'll take Xavier Worthy or Terrence Ferguson, tight end premium. I'll take Xavier
Worthy.
Cortland Sutton or Tajay Spears. Sutton.
Great value on Sutton coming up.
Achane or Bucky.
Sutton just had the quietest, most let down 70 catches for 800 yards and 8 touchdowns that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, that was a huge letdown.
Sutton or Marks?
Sutton. There was the games where it just happened in the playoffs too. Like, he would just not get targeted for 3 quarters at a time.
Danny Dimes or Pearsall?
Danny Dimes. Shit.
Pearsall, that boy can run a route. That boy can run a route.
Shout out to Austin.
All right, boys, I got to jump off of here. It's been a great
All right,
time.
yeah, we can wrap this one up here. Next time we jump on, we're gonna do more website stuff, more swiping. I'm sure I missed something here, but we wanted to roll this thing out, sort of a soft opening, if you will, for the website here. And like I said, there's the leaderboard on here, so you can see swipes. There's the daily stuff at the top to keep you coming back each day. So there's you got your daily comparisons, you got daily rankings. So just kind of questions and prompts to, have something to do each day to check in. And then there'll be a streak for those to see who's on the leaderboards of those. We're probably going to figure all sorts of giveaways to have for streaks and swipes and all sorts of good, fun stuff there. And like I said, next thing is roster reviews with some sort of scores and sheets baked into this as we can, we'll still do in-person ones, but there'll be something that with crowdsource rankings and with our rankings and ADP and analytics all come together and kind of give you a score for your rebuilds and your roster construction stuff out there. So just trying to take things all up to another level here at the FFD. But again, it feels this is the first time we've had all of our stuff kind of in one spot and a cool, fun tool with the crowdsource ranking. So Big Co, we'll see you later. Chat, we appreciate you. Chev, till next time.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, live streaming. More website stuff to come. Go sign up. Want to see them swipes go up. They've been going up the whole time, so appreciate you guys.
That's Chev.
We'll see you later.
Later.